Hello, everyone. I'm Irene Sassis of myBOSS Asia Incorporated. myBOSS Asia Incorporated is a back office shared services that provides accounting, payroll services, business setup assistance, tax, and other governmental compliances. And also, we have this record management through technology solutions for MSMEs. I will be discussing the cash flow management pandemic edition. As we all know, the coronavirus is a big threat to small businesses, especially those that are starting the startup. Now is the perfect time to regroup and focus on how your business will recover and get back to growth. So don't get discouraged and feel like you have to start from scratch. This is a tough economical time for all, so keep your perseverance alive. Now, why is it that cash flow management is very important? Especially during this pandemic, we have to determine until when, ba kaya ng negosyo natin mabuhay. So, cash flow is the money that moves in and out of our businesses. Um, if there's a lack of cash, of course, that's one of the biggest reasons that the small businesses fail. Now, if there is an inadequate cash reserves, that's also the top reason why startups don't succeed. So it's called running out of money, and of course, it will shut down your businesses faster. Okay, let's try to assess the situation with the three scenarios. It's time to paint the picture of reality and ask yourself, how bad is it? Let's see. Are we on survival? We may not make it. Usually that's the word. It just means that we're running out of money already. Restructure. We still have a money, but we're going to make it. But we will need to make difficult decisions. Okay. Strengthen. We are okay. We still have the money. We are okay. And we want to use this as time to get better. Now, once you know the three scenarios, you can figure out a financial projection to stress test your revenue model. Now, let's discuss the financial projection. First, you have to look at the best case scenario would be your 3 months, and then the mid case, how is your business going to be in the next 6 months, and the worst case would be how will it be in the next 12 months, given the pandemic um, will still be around in the year 2021, which I hope so, mawala na. Okay. Now let's get to the data for scenario planning. Before you make any decision, get the data you need. Oftentimes, business owners react on their gut and make detrimental decisions that they cannot pull themselves out of it. So this is the worst thing you can do in the time of financial turmoil. Uh, the first data point you look first is the break-even cost. This will help you calculate how different scenarios might play out financially and how much you have to dip into your reserve. Okay, so we're talking here about the break-even calculation. You must have the fixed cost ready. Of course, first you must have your own financial statement also. Then you can determine your fixed cost, divided it with the profit percentage, and that would be your break even. Okay, now that you have the break even point, review your budget. All right, so budgeting and planning is more important than ever. If you don't have a budget, now is the time to make one. So create a document that will make sure you're going to keep it up to date for this current situation, and then you keep on adjusting. Well, if you don't have a budgeting template that is specifically made for businesses, you can send us, you can fill up, sorry, the Google form, and then we will send you a sample format of budgeting template. All right. Once you already have that budgeting template, the next thing that you have to at least determine is you've got to manage your cash flow. So that's why we have here, be vigilant with your cash flow management. And remember this, cash is king. Cash is king, especially nowadays. Okay. Proper management of your cash flow can make or break your businesses, especially during this challenging time. So without a real sense of your cash flow, you cannot move forward. The difference between the companies that survive a recession and those that don't, they are focusing on cash flow. So that's why we're discussing here cash flow management. All right. If you are in survival mode, cash flow will be the life raft keeping your business afloat. Your cash flow forecast needs to be reviewed and updated so you're better prepared for the future. Well, for some companies, this is how it looks like. So medyo madami silang, you know, expenses normally. Okay. I'll be showing you a cash flow forecast 1 year sample. This would be the inflow, cash receipts, or something that you receive, your income, in other words, your revenue. Okay. So first, you should know this the starting cash on hand, starting balance. Let's say for November 2020, you have a cash on hand of $10,000. Well, let's say it's dollars. Okay. Then hopefully you have sales, and also you have a returns and allowances, collections from AR, um, other income, any loan proceeds, probably additional cash from the owner, and other sources of receipts. So now this is the cash inflow, which is normally yung tawag natin is perang papasok. Perang pwede mong gamitin sa negosyo. Okay. That's the first part. Now let's go to the second part, which is the cash outflow. Outflow, which is sinasabi nilang yung perang palabas, ito yung mga gastos, expenses ng negosyo, which usually have the advertising, commissions, pasweldo, labor fees, salaries and wages, benefits, supplies, material expenses for offices, rents, like that. So lahat siya, everything is in the cash outflow. Now, if you want to have a sample again for cash flow forecast, which is a 1 year sample, I think this would be much better for business owners or startup, that you have this kind of format which at least pwede mong makita how long will your business be existing pa or kaya pa ng pera ng company para mag-survive. Okay. Oh, fill up the Google form again. Okay. Okay. For the cash inflow, one of the possible problem that we're going to encounter this time of pandemic is how can we have sales. So one thing that we have to work out on that is find ways or diversify for us to um, increase our revenue even during this pandemic crisis. Um, Possibly you can open your e-commerce business instead na lang ng brick and mortar business, or you can add more product, or you can give discounts. These are some of the things that some of the businesses have been doing from the start of pandemic. So what we just have to do is think out of the box para naman to increase our sales, and we need more cash especially. Okay. All right. Now for the cash management tips. So we're going to give you a little bit of controlling your cash. Since we are cash flow management, here are some tips that we can share to you, and we're also doing it with my boss. What first thing is to manage your account receivables. Um, Typically, we're giving 30 to 45 days. What do you call this? Credit terms, no? um, we have to at least review and probably won't cut it. If you can cut it out to 15 days, something like that, or if it's possible that they pay you cash, which only if possible, uh, because we have to at least shorten the collection time and also improve your collection process. I will discuss shortly about some tips about collection. Okay, you may also want to closely review your customers, identify those that absorb cash from the organization. All right. Next is to adjust your inventory levels. This is for the companies that are having inventories. It could be physical, or it could be, yeah, I think this is much more with the physical products. So adjust your inventory levels, especially now that during pandemic times, we know naman that the sales medyo bumaba. So if we have this inventory level of, let's say, your product is soap, let's say that your inventory level should be at least 100 boxes in a month. You can adjust it now kasi probably hindi naman lahat mabibenta, then you can adjust it to 50, something like that. So what is kaya lang talaga ibenta so that hindi mo kailangang magkaroon pa ng mataas na inventory, and because it's cash, no? Hindi mo na kailangang mag-store ng madami pa munang product, benta na lang whatever that you have, and then preserve your cash. That's very important. Okay. As I said, with the managing of accounts receivable, you have to review also your customer payment terms. We can also offer discounts or advance payment option with some percentage, what you call this, with some discount for an early payment client. Okay. Next is to adjust your staffing levels. So look at the customer's needs. I think this is much more applicable with those that are in service space. Okay. Look at your customer needs and utilize resources to right size your staff. One thing that other companies have done is, of course, they cut off the working time ng tao. Let's say for restaurants, instead of having full staff like 10 staff, they just have 3 staff, and then the next day the other 3 na hindi pumasok, something like that. So adjust your staffing levels. Review all costs. So determine which cost might be eliminated, reduced, or renegotiated. And also review, most important is your accounts payable. Well, at least here, take a look if there's any way that you can at least negotiate about your APs. Pwede ba siyang i-reconstruct? Pwede bang bayaran na lang next year? Or can we make a staggered payment? Something like that. Next is review plans for capital investments. Well, you can at least determine which capital projects can be delayed, eliminated, or modified. Kasi of course, before the pandemic happens, some of us are looking forward in investing into putting stocks or bitcoins or whatever, the gas or whatever. Well, assess if you really need to delay it, or at least eliminate na lang. And then the next is to review all agreements that you have. Go look at the upcoming and current commitments and determine if some could be restructured, delayed, or canceled. And of course, establish a deeper relationship with your banker. Why is it? Because some of us during this pandemic time and also moving forward, if you're already short in cash, the last thing that we can do is get a loan. So establish this deeper relationship with your bankers. And the last thing is, of course, prepare a cash flow forecast. Um, I've shown already in the past slides, as you can see naman how it is done. So once you have that slide, you can create a cash flow forecast na lang according to your business. Okay. Remember that cash inflow is important in this time of crisis. So what you can do is, of course, improve your collection by using the three F's. Now, what is this 3F? What are you saying about F? All right. Okay. The three F's of collections. One is firm, which means never end a call without a confirmed date. Okay. We're talking about collection. Um, you can instruct your people, or you can also do that. Na once a client committed that they're going to pay on this next week, ask for the date. Anong araw ba? Is it going to be, let's say, November 2, 3, or 4? So before you put down the phone, ask for a confirmed date. It's very important. Second is to have focus, overcome objectives, and be prepared with answers. Well, this is about the data that you have. Before you call for collections, make sure that your data is accurate. This is more of an accounting process also. Make sure that what they have already paid is already part of the recorded uh, data that you have na may bayad na, may hindi pa. So it's very important to have that accurate document before you make any call. Also be prepared for any objection from the client. So dapat ready ka. Let's say it's a product or it's a physical product, and you can say na what if they said, hindi siya gumagalaw? So review the agreements. Is it ba part ng agreement nyo? If they're not on consignment, probably you can just review if um, pwede ba silang magsole, something like that. Kasi of course, once they return it, you're also losing your cash. Okay? But of course, don't forget to be friendly. Even if this is your collecting, uh, having a friendly voice or a friendly approach is still best in collecting. Diba kasi like sometimes may mga ngolekta, um, laging galit, no? So if you're going to do that, most probably magagalit din yung kausap nyo. So use a friendly voice, um, friendly words, and friendly approach. Sabi nga, kindness goes a long way. So I hope these three apps would be in your mind. Be firm, be focused, and be friendly. Another tip is to cut below the line cost of expenses is to have another option to consider in outsourcing non-competencies as one solution to save money. One example for that, of course, if you can just outsource your bookkeeping functions, and normally this would cost your cost from 30 to 40% less instead of hiring a bookkeeper. So many businesses are transitioning to outsource na lang their accounting services as a more cost-effective and efficient alternative to in-house accounting. So this is where myBOSS Asia can help you cut below your costs. So yeah. All right. In the cash management tips, review above the line cost, which is protect your people. So how do you figure out who to keep? Sino ang pwede mo nang uh, give up? Or one important note to keep in mind, people drive profits. Hindi naman lahat papakawalan mo. Sana what? So can you afford layoffs? Kasi the cost of turnover is more than you think. Then how do you make the decision on who to keep and sino yung who kailangan mo nang i-give up? Okay? Your decisions should be based on data. One major mistakes that most business owners make during recession is loading up on layoffs. So rehiring and retraining once the dust has settled is more costly, you know. Now, when you are deciding, first you should have the data. With don't use emotion during this time. It's very important to be looking at the numbers when you're making difficult decisions. So some not naman lahat, um, since they're having this anxiety, you know, nagiging emotional sila. So they use their emotions to judge who kailangan nilang paalisin or who yung magi-stay sa company, no? So what one thing that you have to do is, yeah, because of the data, you have to compute the profitability of both the employee and yung kanilang team level. Now, if you want to know how is it computed, we'll be having this Q&A right after this presentation, so we can share you some ways on how to compute that. And of course, use the time with your staff to sharpen the saw. Invest in training, identify the efficiencies, of course, and enhance your products. Now is the time to dive in and find the value of what you are offering. So thank you. This is myBOSS Asia, and if you have any questions or you need some help, just send us an email, or you can take a look about our website. Thank you.